Welcome back to some new r/malicious compliance stories, where people comply to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. Thanks for all the likes and comments on the last video. And now let's start with the first story. It's called Pool Passes. Our building has a community pool. We just signed a lease a few months ago. They opened it up for the season a couple of weeks ago. With our toddler around, I thought it would be a perfect free activity to enjoy the sun. After looking for our pool passes and asking our landlord, we realized they gave us 2 visitor parking passes and 0 pool passes. We were supposed to have 1 visitor parking pass and 4 pool passes. We told our landlord the 2 items we had been given and asked for the pool passes fee to be waived. Instead, they sent a picture of the lease with our signature. It said 4 pool passes, $25 each, and 1 visitor parking pass, $150. I sent them a message saying, "No worries, we will pay the $25. Per our lease, we only have 1 visitor parking pass then. Let me know when we can pick up our pool passes. Have a good rest of your day." Them trying to save $25 and being petty resulted in them throwing away $150. The next story is called Property Lines. Many years ago, after decades of saving, my husband and I were doing well enough to finally build our dream home. After we moved in, we still had to have our yard leveled and sodded, and arranged it early the next spring. That night I was out watering the backyard sod when I saw my neighbor's wife, Chris, using a measuring tape between our homes. I asked her if everything was okay, and she said that we had sodded a section of their yard. I told her we had followed the sticks that the builder had left. She said the builders must have made a mistake and insisted that we had taken part of their yard. Not wanting to have an ongoing conflict with her and her husband, Keith, we agreed to have our property resurveyed. When we did, we got a big surprise. The actual property line wasn't halfway between our 2 houses as we believed. It was about 1.5 feet away from the side of their house. They owned a construction company and had built their house too close to the property line. This was a major mistake for a professional. Still wanting to be good neighbors, we offered to split the cost and labor of a good neighbor fence, using one of the 4 accepted fence styles allowed. My husband kept asking Keith when he wanted to start, but he always had one excuse after another. Then Keith told Dan to stop bothering him. Dan was upset. He bought all the materials and built the fence himself. He had been planning to put the fence halfway between our houses, but our neighbor was so rude that Dan built the fence just inside our property line, making the neighbor's house look bad. The neighbor's husband came over angry, but Dan reminded him that he and his wife had wanted a new property survey, and he had delayed the fence for months. Our fence was excellent, because Dan was a carpenter and I'm a skilled painter. The neighbor's husband built a fence next to ours, but it was poorly made, unattractive, and not one of the approved designs. He was later required to tear it down. The third story is called Just Quit. I got a job as a security guard after leaving the army, because I wasn't qualified to do much else, and I hadn't decided if I was going to college yet or not. The company refused to pay very much, so they had high turnover. Because of the turnover, they had small raises built in and 90 days, 6 months and a year as an incentive to stay on. I needed a job, and until I had my life together, this would do. So I showed up and worked. My 1-year anniversary came around, and I didn't see my 50 cents an hour raise in my paycheck, but something more like 35 cents. So I called the boss. My 3 and 6 month raises had been delivered with no issues, so I was surprised my 1-year anniversary raise hadn't shown up. Supposedly, they wanted to give all employees a raise, so they did. And yes, I got a small raise, along with all the other guards. A few hundred of us. It was something like 35 cents an hour for each of us. Okay, fine. But what about my promised 50 cents an hour? As far as I was concerned, this 35 cents an hour was something they initiated, after promising me more, so this was a bonus. When I called the manager, I was told I wasn't going to get my 1-year raise because you just got a raise. No one gets 2 raises at once. If your pay raise isn't enough, quit. In other words, they were trying to claim a 35-cent an hour raise for every employee, somehow overrode the fact that I was owed an additional 50-cent an hour longevity raise. I'm sure there were others caught up in that. Fine. They wanted to give me 35 cents an hour and tell me that was equal to 85 cents an hour? I'd find something better. I spent the next week calling in sick and showing up late while job hunting. I called the office at the end of my last day, told them I was done and that they could find someone else, giving them no notice at all. Panic mode followed. Everyone else was at 40 hours for the week and they hated paying overtime. One of the salaried managers had to cover for me. The last story is called Full Day Increments. I accumulated annual leave at a certain number of hours per week, and after one has accumulated 480 hours, you lose annual leave until you bring the balance under 480. I would take 3 hours of leave a week to keep just under 480, and it would just bug my boss that someone would need or want to do that. So he heads over to HR to explain the situation. They tell him the official policy is that leave is to be taken in full day increments. They also tell him that we should not be changing our timesheets to reflect the hours worked, since we are all salary. They say to just go ahead and approve them as is, unless we have holiday time to put down. He says the idea behind this is that since we are salary, the company knows we will have heavy weeks and lighter weeks, and it will balance out in the end. Okay, so I have been losing my 3 hours of leave a week, but I have not worked a full week in months. At most I have put in 30 hours. I just try to be efficient with my time to make it work. Often I will work 1 hour and call it a day. Took a 5-minute work call while on holiday. Thanks for keeping me from burning a full day of leave. I thought the other way was more honest to the company, but they taught me how real business works. Thanks for watching the video to the end. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. And if you have time, watch another one of my videos. Also, if you want to support me further, check out the channel membership or Patreon. And now, I hope you have a great day. See you soon. Bye bye.